crazy. And what now? What next? What the heck are we going to do? We got introduced at the very last minute of his presentation to guarantees, to control. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to continue that theme with Miss Hannah Kessler, 26 years young, the single millionaire chick, a best-selling author, a millionaire in her own right, even, well, maybe Dad helped a little bit. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Ladies and gentlemen, let's bring her up and let's talk about becoming your own banker.
Now, J-Do says with the help of Dad, let me tell y'all, if you know my father, he does not just hand you stuff, all right? We talked a little bit yesterday. When you borrow from the family bank, we're paying anywhere from 10 to 13% interest, all right? So we don't get handed stuff, let me tell you. But no, I'm excited. I want to really share with y'all about becoming your own banker, right? I mean, this stuff is very powerful. Let me ask the room, who in here is implementing the infinite banking concept? Can you raise your hand? Very good. All right, good. So just real quick, to kind of get into it, I'm going to play this short little video about what I've been up to recently, all right?
Hannah
so
Kessler.
Phil, kicking it off.
This gal started her own bank at the age of 18, and then you became a self-made millionaire by the age of 24?
I did.
Hannah Kessler is a money mentor.
She's known as the single millionaire chick.
With advice on how to stop living paycheck to paycheck.
Money
Starts with your mindset.
How you think about your money is going to greatly impact how much money that you have.
I grew up in a town called Olathe, Kansas. I'd be walking out of the door, going to school, and my mama would holler at me, "Hannah, make good choices." And I'd have to holler back, "Because the choices I make today will affect my future."
My parents, they did a very good job about teaching me as a child how to handle my money.
We have a lack of understanding when it comes to money.
If you want your kids to have money, you need to start talking to them about it while they're young.
I'm really second generation to this concept that's called the infinite banking concept.
And at 18 years old, my dad gave me the choice to start my own bank that then led me to becoming a millionaire by the time I was 24.
Now you've written a book to help tie it all together.
So the companion is really just teaching kids that, not specifically money, but really important life lessons.
Now being the owner of the Money Multiplier, I help serve over 17,000 clients in every state of the country.
Where can people get the book?
HannahKessler.com. Hannah spelled the same way forwards and backwards, Kessler with one S.
Also, I got my podcast show, the Money Multiplier Podcast.
And make good choices today, because the choices you make today will affect your future. Every morning when I would walk out of the door going to school, that's what my mom would tell me. "Hannah, make good choices." And I'd have to holler back because the choices I make today will affect my future. And I still think about that almost every single day of my life with the choices that I'm making. Because I struggled, I have a book out, The Single Millionaire Chick, that we kind of talked about. And I wrote about my struggles, and I suppressed a lot of that because I wasn't proud of it. I didn't want people to see that negative side to me and all the crap that I went through with drug addiction and different stuff. But I'm very grateful to be here and making that 180 shift. I mean, it got so bad that Dad gave me the choice, "Hey, Hannah, you're going to go to military school, or I can send you up to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania to live with your brother," right? And those are my two options. I said, "I'll pick Pittsburgh," right? So no, it's been, I feel like I've lived 9 lives already at my youthful years. But this is the foundation to everything that I do, this concept that's called the infinite banking concept. And a lot of y'all, maybe you have heard about this before, but maybe it's never been explained to you in this way. And some of y'all, maybe this is the first ever time you're hearing about this, and I'm about to challenge your conventional thinking when it comes to your money. Because here's the thing, you guys are really great at making your money. You're great at making it, but you suck at keeping it. So I just want to show you how to keep the money that you're already making. I don't want you to change anything that you're already doing. I don't want you to work any harder, take on any additional risk, or lose control of the dollars. All we're going to change is where that money goes first. Where is it being stored at? And that's what the infinite banking concept is all about. So my company, The Money Multiplier, you also got my contact info up there, my cell phone, our website, themoneymultiplier.com, and then my email address. Now, before we get into it, a lot of y'all know who I am, but just briefly, I'm a little hippie at heart, all right? I like to travel around in my van. I live on the road. I got my 2 kitty cats. I go to a lot of music festivals. That's just kind of what I'm into. Love live music. I love craft beers. You know, I'd love to own my own brewery one day. When you don't see me teaching on this concept, I'm usually at the arcade. I love the arcade, all right? But also, you know, I've been traveling around. I've been doing a lot of cool speaking. I've been doing television now, speaking on stages like NASDAQ. I had a Jumbotron in Times Square. I've had 2 of them now. MIT, the Boston Harvard Club, New York Academy of Medicine. You know, it's been a really cool and fun journey. But, you know, I just like to live life on my own terms. I don't want to follow into any status quo, you know what I mean? I just want to be authentically myself. But how did I get here, you know? My family was introduced to the infinite banking concept back in 2006. And at that time, we were living in Kansas City. And in Kansas City, Dad was a chiropractor, and he had 5 clinics in the Kansas City area. And Dad, in 2006, was at a chiropractic convention, and he was sitting there. He was sitting in the audience just like how y'all are right now, and there was somebody up here on stage teaching about the infinite banking concept. And Dad was sitting there. He had his arms crossed like this, and he goes, "Man, that stuff looks really, really good, but it kind of looks just too good to be true." Ever seen something like that? Something too good to be true? So what Dad did is he bought Nelson's book here. And I'm going to talk more about this book here in a second. But he bought this black book. He went home. He set the book on the shelf, and he didn't do anything with the information. 2 years later, 2008, he went back to that same chiropractic convention, and he was greeted by about 10 or 12 of his colleagues who were coming up to him, hooting and hollering about this banking concept. They're like, "Brent, isn't this concept so cool? I'm able to pay off my debts, pay the salary of my key employees, finance the adjustment tables in my office, and I'm able to recycle and recapture all of that money that I spent back to myself." And that's when Dad was like, "All right, there's got to be something to this. I mean, no way 10 or 12 of my closest colleagues are lying to me about this stuff. I mean, maybe 1 or 2 of them, but no way 10 or 12. So that's when my family took action, was back in 2008. And at that time, Mom and Dad had almost $1 million of debt. Dad's got it nailed down to the exact penny, $974,011 of debt. But by implementing this concept, he was able to pay off that debt in 39 months, 3 years and 3 months. He didn't work any harder. He didn't open the office for longer hours or treat more patients. Again, he just changed where that money was going first. So we're going to get into it here today. Now, here's the resource, okay? I do have books here. I brought a case of books with me, all right? So they are outside. I do have some for sale. But I want y'all to know where all of this information is coming from. So this black book here, Becoming Your Own Banker, everyone needs to add this book to your wealth building library. It has completely changed my family's financial life. And if you got a little ADD like myself, it comes with 2 hours of audio. Highly recommend the audio. All right, so I just want you to know where all of this information is coming from. So Becoming Your Own Banker, you can go to Amazon and get the book that way, or purchase it from us. I don't care. I'm not in the book selling business. I just want you to know where it's coming from. Now, here is another resource for y'all. This is a book that my dad and Chris Noggle wrote together called Mapping Out the Millionaire Mystery. This is kind of a spin-off of what Nelson teaches in his book, Becoming Your Own Banker. But Chris and Dad wrote this book together, and I would recommend it as well. It's a great read. I mean, I read it on a 4-hour flight. So I do have some copies here too, or you don't have to buy the copy. Just scan the QR code. You can get the ebook that way, or send me an email, hannah@themoneymultiplier.com, and I'll send you a copy of the ebook. So that's another great resource for y'all. Now, before we get into it, to be totally clear about what we're here talking about today.
Money, 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 money. Some people got to have it.
So money's what we're here talking about. Now, y'all, in order for us to have this conversation around money, we have to agree on the definition of money. So if I were to ask you, what's the definition of money, what would you tell me? It's okay to say it. What would you tell me? A piece of paper? A tool? An exchange? Who's exchange? That's all that money is, right? All money is just a means of exchange. That's what we do with money all day long. We exchange it for the goods, the products, the services that we're buying in life. Money for food, food for money, money for car, car for money, money for house, house for money, right? That's all that money is. So, for the next 6.5 hours that I have your attention here today, can we agree that that's going to be our definition of money? Good. Now, this concept, okay, it is totally outside the box thinking. It's not what your parents are doing, your friends, your colleagues, your coworkers, your bosses are doing with their money. All right, so we're going to go through a little uncomfortable conversations here, all right? And because I do have the time, I'm going to play this video for y'all. This video is called The Backwards Bicycle. It's about a 7.5-minute video. You can go to YouTube, find The Backwards Bicycle on there as well. But I like to play this video just because it gets our minds geared into being open and receptive to new ideas, new ideologies, okay? So here's the video.
Hey, it's me, Destin. Welcome back to Smarter Every Day. You've heard people say it's just like riding a bike, meaning it's really easy and you can't forget how to do it, right? But I did something. I did something that damaged my mind. It happened on the streets of Amsterdam, and I got really scared, honestly. I can't ride a bike like you can anymore. Before I show you the video of what happened, I need to tell you the backstory. Like many 6-year-olds with a MacGyver mullet, I learned how to ride a bike when I was really young. I had learned a life skill, and I was really proud of it. Everything changed, though, when my friend Barney called me 25 years later. Where I work, the welders are geniuses, and they like to play jokes on the engineers. He had a challenge for me. He had built a special bicycle, and he wanted me to try to ride it. He had only changed one thing. When you turn the handlebar to the left, the wheel goes to the right. When you turn it to the right, the wheel goes to the left. I thought this would be easy, so I hopped on the bike, ready to demonstrate how quickly I could conquer this.
And here he is, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Destin Sandlin. First attempt riding the bicycle.
All right. So the faster I go, the better. Yeah.
I couldn't do it. You can see that I'm laughing, but I'm actually really frustrated. In this moment, I had a really deep revelation. My thinking was in a rut. This bike revealed a very deep truth to me. I had the knowledge of how to operate the bike, but I did not have the understanding. Therefore, knowledge is not understanding. Look, I know what you're probably thinking. Destin's probably just an uncoordinated engineer and can't do it. But that's not the case at all. The algorithm that's associated with riding a bike in your brain is just that complicated. Think about it. Downwards force on the pedals, leaning your whole body, pulling and pushing the handlebars, gyroscopic precession in the wheels. Every single force is part of this algorithm. And if you change any one part, it affects the entire control system. I do not make definitive statements that often, but I'm telling you right now, you cannot ride this bicycle. You might think you can, but you can't. I know this because I'm often asked to speak at universities and conferences, and I take the bike with me. It's always the same. People think they're going to try some trick or they're just going to power through it. It doesn't work. Your brain cannot handle this. For instance, this guy, I offered him $200 just to ride this bike 10 feet across the stage. Everybody thought he could do it.
No, you didn't understand. You didn't understand. So, this way. Okay. All right, just a second. All right, so, whenever you're ready. Quickly! No, you have to keep your feet on. Dude, look, all right, here we go. Wait. Like, you gotta start rolling at least. And go. Oh, no! All right, back up. Okay, wait. Keep your feet on the pedal. Go. Go right off. Just keep your feet on the pedals. Hands on. Yeah, come on.
Once you have a rigid way of thinking in your head, sometimes you cannot change that, even if you want to. So here's what I did. It was a personal challenge. I stayed out here in this driveway and I practiced about 5 minutes every day. My neighbors made fun of me. I had many wrecks, but after 8 months, this happened. One day I couldn't ride the bike and the next day I could. It was like I could feel some kind of pathway in my brain that was now unlocked. It was really weird though. It's like there's this trail in my brain, but if I wasn't paying close enough attention to it, my brain would easily lose that neural path and jump back onto the old road it was more familiar with. Any small distractions at all, like a cell phone ringing in my pocket, would instantly throw my brain back to the old control algorithm and I would wreck, but at least I could ride it. My son is the closest person to me genetically, and he's been riding a normal bike for 3 years. That's over half his life. I wanted to know how long it would take him to learn how to ride a backwards bike, so I told him if he learned how to ride a backwards bike, he could go with me to Australia and meet a real astronaut.
Are you gonna give up? No. Go ahead. This is how it starts. Look at this. This is such a big deal. Get up, you got it. Did you see his brain get it? So in how many weeks have we been doing this? 2 weeks? In 2 weeks, he did something that took me 8 months to do, which demonstrates that a child has more neuroplasticity, am I even saying that right, than an adult.
It's clear from this experiment that children have a much more plastic brain than adults. That's why the best time to learn a language is when you're a young child.
All right, today's bike log. I can ride smooth, I can ride fast. I'm thinking the experiment is over.
Okay, now I'm in Amsterdam, a city that has more bicycles than people. The question is, can I ride a normal bike now? I mean, I've spent all this time unlearning how to ride a bike. If I go back and try to ride a normal one, will my brain mess up? So I've tweeted a Smarter Everyday meetup, if you will, and I'm gonna see if somebody brings a bicycle and I'm gonna try to ride a normal bike. It's backwards, it's backwards.
This was one of the most frustrating moments of my life. I had ridden a normal bike since I was 6, but in this moment, I couldn't do it anymore. I had set out to prove that I could free my brain from a cognitive bias. But at this point, I'm pretty sure that all I proved is that I could only redesignate that bias.
So what you're not seeing is just a group of people here looking at me, looking at the strange American that can't ride a bike because they think I'm dumb. But I'm actually 2 levels deep into this because I've learned and unlearned. All right.
After 20 minutes of making a fool out of myself, suddenly my brain clicked back into the old algorithm. I can't explain it, but it happened in a very specific moment.
I got it. I'm back. Oh, it clicked. Hold on, it clicked. I got it. Okay, there it is. There was the moment. Okay, I can ride a bike.
I tried to explain this to the people around me, and they just didn't get it. They thought I was faking the previous 20 minutes, and I couldn't get anybody to believe me.
That looked like I faked that, didn't it?
Yeah.
Just a fake. You think I'm faking. You don't believe me.
They put so many to it, like, and it's full.
You think I'm lying, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
I'm not lying.
I felt like the only person on the planet who had ever unlearned how to ride a bike, and I couldn't articulate it to anyone because everybody just knew that you can't forget how to ride a bike. So I learned 3 things from this experiment. I learned that welders are often smarter than engineers. I learned that knowledge does not equal understanding. And I learned that truth is truth, no matter what I think about it. So be very careful how you interpret things because you're looking at the world with a bias, whether you think you are or not. I'm Destin. You're getting smarter every day. Have a good one.
You see why I play that video? I think it's powerful because whether you think you are or not, you are viewing life decisions through a lens and a bias. So again, I just challenge y'all, keep an open mind as I go through this, okay? And there's a gentleman by the name of Will Rogers. You know what Will Rogers says? The problem in America isn't so much what people don't know, it's what people think they know that just ain't so. So again, a lot of the things that we've been taught about money, dollars, and wealth may not actually be the truth. Now, for my Money Multiplier members, all right, you're probably thinking to yourself, Hannah, is this just your regular standard 90-minute presentation again? No, okay. We're going to go through some, we're going to do car example today, but I got some, I'm going to go through the Vivi Lucky Jeans example today, okay? So we got some new stuff. But I just want you guys to understand the foundation of this. So, hey, as I go through this, I'm not going to take questions, but write your questions down, all right? I will be here all weekend. I'll give you my cell phone number, my email. We can talk offline together, but write your questions down. Don't just try to keep them up here because you're going to forget them. My dad has always taught me a short pencil is better than a long memory. So write the questions down because I want to make sure that I answer all of them. All right, we're going to get into how does your money flow and the method to get all the money back. So before I get done here today, I'm going to show you how to get all the money back for just the cars that you're buying for yourself up to this point in your lifetime, right? So what I mean by that is let's make believe this is a $20,000 bill. And normally when we go and finance cars, it doesn't matter what it is, let's just say it's a car. When we go and normally finance for our cars, let's say this is a $20,000 bill, and normally we just hand the money over. The car salesman gives us the car, and then everybody walks away. The transaction's done. But how I buy my cars is I take my $20,000 bill, give it to the salesman, they give me the car, and then now I have a system to get all the money back for that car purchase, right? Because I don't care how old you are, how much money do you have back for just the cars that you bought for yourself up to this point in your life? Here's a hint, 0. So if I show you nothing else than just to get all the money back for your cars, is it going to be a pretty cool day? Hopefully the answer is yes. All right, let's get into the fun stuff here. You see that there's 3 calculators up here on the screen. We are going to make believe that we're in the market, we want to go buy ourselves a car, all right? And down at your local bank, you have $25,000 that's sitting there. And we're going to make believe that you found a really, really good bank, and that bank is paying you 4% on your money. Okay, I know they may not be, but there's a method to my madness here, okay? So let's just make believe that you found a really, really good bank and they're paying you 4% interest. So you walk into the bank, and let's make believe I'm your bank teller. You come up to me and you say, Banker Hannah, I want to take out that $25,000 that's earning me 4% interest, and I want to go pay cash for my car. And y'all tend to bump up your chest like that. I'm going to go pay cash for this car. Y'all love paying cash for things. You think when you pay cash for stuff, you don't got to pay any payments, you don't got to pay any interest. But is that the truth? Ponder on it. We'll come back to it. So you walk in and you say, Banker Hannah, I want to take out that $25,000 and I want to go pay cash for this car. And I turn to you and I say, no. Instead, how about I make you a loan for $25,000? I'm going to loan you $25,000, and I'm going to charge you 6% interest. Okay. If I were to go and take out that loan of $25,000, how long is it normally going to take me to pay off that loan? 4 years, 5 years, 6 years? Doesn't matter. Let's just go with 5 years or 60 months. Instead, how about you take my loan of $25,000, I'm going to charge you 6% interest. And over the same equal time period of 5 years or 60 months, our bank is going to pay you more money on the 25 that you're earning at 4 than you'll pay us on the 25 being charged at 6. So is that a true statement? In other words, can I make money earning at 4% at the same time I'm paying 6? You guys are smart. But my simple mind is thinking, well, no, right? Because if I earn 4 and pay 6, 4 minus 6 equals -2. As us Gen Zers say, Marty Smith, that math ain't mathin'. But the banker told you the truth, and I want to walk through it. If you take out that loan of $25,000 being charged at 6%, your monthly payment is $483.32 a month. Take the $483 times the 60 months, you just paid $28,999 for the car. So $25,000 in principal, about $4,000 in interest. And over the same time period in your savings account, Your balance is now $30,525. So here's my question. Is that $30,525, is that a larger number than the $28,999? Or do y'all do math differently than what I do on the east side of Florida? I mean, it's a larger number. But how is it a larger number? Because I thought if I earn 4, pay 6, I'm losing some. Any ideas? Compound interest? Here's what's going on. Every month, your savings account is on an increasing scale, right? It's on an increasing balance. It's going up each and every month. While your payments on your loans, it's going down each and every month. So one's going up, the other one's going down, but our minds are not programmed to think this way. So with this short, simple exercise, I just wanted to prove to you that you can make money all day long earning at a lower interest rate than what you're paying. See, here's the thing. People love to get hung up in rate, right? Oh, I got a low interest rate on my mortgage. Oh, I got a low interest rate on my car loan. Y'all, it's not the rate that's killing us. It's the volume of the interest that we're sending out the door to other people. And it's just math. On my podcast show, the Money Multiplier podcast, I did a live episode earning at 10% at the same time I was paying 20%, and I still came out on top earning at 10 at the same time I was paying 20. We got to start learning how money actually works. So why were my numbers important? Well, what's the machine that we're using to build our wealth? The machine? A whole life insurance policy with a mutually owned company that pays dividends. Now I get it. I wish you could be up here right now and seeing all of your faces in the room. You're thinking to yourself, Hannah, what in the hell does a whole life insurance policy have anything to do with me building my wealth? I know. Dave Ramsey and Susie Orman, they told me whole life is the worst place to invest my money. I mean, do you see why it took my dad 2 years to start this stuff? Dad was a Dave Ramsey's baby step follower. But why whole life? Why whole life? Give me some answers. You can borrow against it. Time. Guaranteed. Not tied to the markets. Those are all great answers. But here's the number one reason. This is what the elite and the wealthy are doing. The number one purchasers of whole life insurance in the world are conventional banks. Banks actually own more in whole life insurance than all of their land and their buildings combined. And a matter of fact, since 2013, banks have even quadrupled in their portfolio of how much whole life insurance they own. And it's like, okay, are banks stupid? Or are banks doing something the rest of us just don't know about? They're probably doing something. And I want to be clear. They're buying whole life. They're not buying IULs, VULs, EIEIOULs. They're buying whole life. I also want to be clear about what specific whole life policy this is. It's not just the regular whole life policy they can go buy off the shelf from your brother-in-law that sells life insurance. We all got a brother-in-law that sells life insurance, do we not? It's not that type of policy. It has to be designed specifically for high immediate cash value. So what I mean by that is when I put my premium deposit into that policy, immediately, my definition of immediately is within 30 days, there's cash value in there that I can access the cash value, take it out, and start using it. So let me go back. Because why was my 4 and 6% important? Inside of your policy contract, you get a guaranteed interest rate. That's a guaranteed interest rate. And that's just not my flabbergum saying that. That's written inside the policy contract itself. And the interest rate that the insurance company will charge you to take out a loan, 6%. So again, can I make money earning 4 at the same time I'm paying 6? Yes. Now, one thing I forgot to mention. I don't want you guys just to take my words for it. How do I know that banks are the #1 purchasers of whole life insurance? Go and Google something called BOLI, B-O-L-I. It stands for bank-owned life insurance. You can look up the hundreds of pages that come up of how much life insurance these banks actually own. All right, so that's a good resource, BOLI, B-O-L-I. All right, let's move on. This is a snippet from Nelson's book, Becoming Your Own Banker. It's actually found on page 3 of his book. He says, the infinite banking concept is a major paradigm shift for most folks. It will require several thorough readings for a full understanding of its messaging. The concept is not complicated. It is just different from the way the majority thinks and behaves. In fact, it is the ultimate in simplicity. See, as human nature, we just love to overcomplicate shit. Why? I think that's why it was so much more easier for me to understand this stuff, because Dad started to bring it around the kitchen table when I was about 8 years old, and he started to involve us in the conversations. I mean, here's my big PSA, y'all. If you're a parent, stop making money such a taboo subject. Okay, talk to your kids about your money. How are you making your money? Where are you storing it at? How are you spending it? Why do you decide to buy X over Y? Okay, so bring them into the conversation, because those habits are just going to carry them into their lifetime. Now, here's something else that is kind of powerful. I'm sorry it's small. I took a screenshot on my phone of this. But this is actually a screenshot from the federalreserve.gov website, okay? And here's the problem that we have. Thank you, Phil. As announced on March 15th, 2020, this was right during COVID time. As announced on March 15, 2020, the board reduced reserve requirements ratios to 0% effective March 26th of 2020. It's still posted up on the federalreserve.gov website to this day. This action eliminated reserve requirements for all depository institutions. You know what that means? If I take my $20 bill and I go down to Wells Fargo and I say, hey, Wells Fargo, here's my $20, legally, they don't have to keep my money there. Legally, they're required to hold 0% on hand of my money. This is what's called fractional reserve lending. This is what these banks are doing. They're taking our money and they're lending it back out to you or to other people. And they're playing this big game. Well, I hope and I think that not everybody's going to do a run on the bank and request all of their money out at one given point in time. Okay, 2023, how well did that happen for y'all? Silicon Valley Signature Bank. What happened there? Oh, you guys went belly up, and then the Federal Reserve System, which number 1 is not even federal, and number 2 has no reserves. The Fed had to open up their back doors, turn on their printing press, and bail out the banks because they didn't want uproar in the streets. And then we're so confused of why inflation is so high and yada, yada, yada. Do you see what I'm saying? Here's what Thomas Jefferson said. Phil, I'm going to go next, please. If the American people ever allow private banks to control the issue of their currencies, first by inflation, then by deflation, the banks will deprive the people of all property until their children wake up homeless on the continent their fathers conquered. The issuing power should be taken from the banks and restored to the people to whom it properly belongs to. That was said in 1809, the debate over the recharter of the bank bill. That's a little negative. Let's kind of pivot topics. But I just want you guys to see what's going on, right? They don't talk about this stuff. I want to talk about what you guys are doing with your money right now. Well, the definition of money, we already talked about. It's nothing more than just a means of exchange. The purpose of money. Well, the purpose of money is me to go buy the things in life, right? Take my vacations, open my clinics, send the kids to college, buy the cars, buy the houses. I mean, that's the purpose of money. Let's talk deeper about money. Who in here believes in compound interest? All of us. We've all been taught that compound interest is such a great thing. But in order for compounding to actually work, we have to let our money, or product or good sit still somewhere. So if I have my $20 bill and I want it to go and compound, what do I do with it? I take it down to the bank. I say, hey, Mr. Banker, here's my 20 bucks. Now it's compounding. If I go back in a year, a month, a week, a day later, and I request for my $20 back, I've now stopped the compounding on that money. But isn't motion a natural law of God? I mean, everything in life is about motion. I'm up here, I'm talking. I drove over on Thursday from Daytona Beach, just cruised right over. I ate breakfast this morning. My food's going to be in motion in me soon. You see the birds flying outside, right? I mean, everything in life is about motion. Who wants to eat fish out of a stagnant pond? I don't. But see, compounding stops that motion. I want you to name me one business in the world that actually uses compound interest. What's the one you're thinking of? Banks. Hannah, banks use compound interest. Well, let's talk about it. Do they use compound interest? No. They pay you compound interest, and they charge you compound interest, but they're not doing it themselves. Here's what I mean. If I have this $20 bill, and I highlight it, and I put my initials on it, and I take it down to the bank, hey, Mr. Banker, here's my 20 bucks. Do you think there's a black box in the back that says Hannah Kessler, and they put my $20 bill in there, and they wait until I come back and retrieve it? No, because banks are moving it, right? They're in the lending business. I mean, not one business in the world actually uses compound interest. Think about a car salesman. If cars aren't moving on and off the lot, how much are they making? Zero. How much do we in the real estate space make if tenants are moving in and out of properties? Properties aren't selling, they're just sitting there, compounding. Zero. How much does a grocery store business make if fresh produce is just sitting on the shelf, rotting and compounding? Nothing. So not one business in the world actually uses compound interest. So don't you think it's a little strange that these big major institutions, banks, Wall Street, mutual funds, they all tell us to park our money there with them, but they're not doing it themselves? That's a little strange, right? I want to talk about your qualified accounts, your 401ks, your IRAs. And yes, I'll exclude those self-directed accounts. I know my folks in the real estate space, y'all are using them. But why do you have that type of account? Well, I'm putting money away so that in the future, I can live off of this money. I can retire with this money, right? I'm going to ask you some questions about that retirement account. Are there any guarantees? Well, there's one guarantee. It's guaranteed to never go below zero. But how fun and exciting would that be if that actually happened? Who controls that account? Is it you or somebody else? Somebody else. And on top of that, how long do you have to keep your money in that 401k, that IRA, just to avoid the 10% penalty? Age 59 and a half. Even as you get to age 59 and a half, what do you still got to pay? Taxes. I want y'all to tell me everything that you know about your retirement account. No, wait, you don't tell me what you know, I'll tell you what you know. You know whether that account goes up or down based on the quarterly statements that you get. You know whether that account is invested in a low, moderate, or high-risk category. But other than that, y'all don't know jack crap about your retirement accounts. There's no guarantees. Somebody else is controlling it, and you're just hoping and praying that in the future, money's going to be there. That doesn't sound so sexy when I put it that way, right? But Hannah, it's just what I've been taught. It's what my boss told me to do. It's what my parents were doing, my friends, my colleagues, my coworkers. Trust me, and I know this firsthand. My younger brother, he's 24, Zach. Zach's a pilot for NetJets. Zach will sit up there in the cockpit with people who are twice his age, and NetJets has a great 401k match. They match 60%. And these pilots are just running through Zach saying, why aren't you putting money in your 401k? Why aren't you doing that? Take the match, take the match. And Zach's like, well, my dad and my sister told me not to do it, so I'm not doing it. Right? We're getting there with him. But he's got 3 policies, right? I mean, he does this stuff too. And this is what we're going to be, actually, matter of fact, later on tomorrow, Jeremiah Dew has a keynote section that he's going to be talking about tax-free retirement income, okay? So we'll kind of get into that. But with these retirement accounts, right, I mean, it's just what the masses are doing, and I don't want to blindly follow the masses. I'm going to ask you all 3 questions. Is your dollar worth more today or in the future? It's worth more today. And if you ever forget about that, think about how many candy bars you could buy 20 years ago for $1 and how many you can buy today for $1. And are taxes going to go up or go down? They're going to go up, and even if they don't go up, aren't we taxing more crap all the time? And when you go and pay tax on your money, do you want to pay it at the small amount of the seed or the large amount of the harvest? The seed. I mean, I agree with all 3 of those answers, but you are totally violating them by putting your money in a 401k, an IRA, a qualified account. Because what you're doing is you're giving up your good dollars today to get paid back with non-guaranteed weaker dollars in the future. And then the taxes, if they don't go up, tax them more crap all the time. But then when I do take the money out, now I'm paying tax on the large amount of the harvest, right? It's totally backwards thinking. But here's what some of y'all are saying to yourself, but Hannah, hold on. Not me. Because I'm a special snowflake, and I get that match in my retirement account, right? I get that match. I mean, if the principal's not guaranteed, I don't know how the match can be guaranteed, but let's just go with your theory for a second. You told me money is nothing more than means of exchange. So if I take this $20 bill and I go down to the grocery store and I buy myself a loaf of bread and a gallon of milk, and I come back home and I put that loaf of bread, gallon of milk in the freezer, and then I wait 5, 10, 33 and a half years into the future when I'm age 59 and a half, and I open up that freezer, guess what's in there now? 2 loaves of bread and 2 gallons of milk. How much more fun and exciting is that second loaf of bread, second gallon of milk going to taste? Still going to be freezer burns, is it not? See, it just mind boggles me that people will do things with money that they would never do with things that money buys. You tell me money's nothing more than means of exchange. So why do we have this hoarding mentality when it comes to our money? I do agree. We got to have emergency funds, right? We got to have the rainy day funds. But you would never go out there, buy yourself a house or a car and wait 20 plus years into the future to move into the house or drive the car. That'd be kind of stupid and ridiculous, would it not? Why are you doing that with your money? Okay, I think I beat that one up. Let's move on. I want to talk about the annual pattern of spending. This one's pretty powerful. This is how you're spending your money right now. 20 cents of every dollar goes to automobiles. And I'm not just talking about the car purchase itself. I'm talking about the gasoline, the upkeep, the maintenance on it. 30 cents of every dollar goes to housing. 40 cents of every dollar goes to your living. And you're trying to save 10%. Or 10 cents of every dollar. Do you know what the average savings rate in America is today? Less than 5. Last time I checked, it was around 4 to 5%, 4 to 6, we'll say. But matter of fact, before the recession, it was a negative number. And then ever since the recession, people started to hunker down and save more. But I'm going to say that you're an above average group of people, and you're saving 10%. Let's talk about the interest that you're paying out. 5 cents of every dollar goes to interest on your automobiles. Now again, some of you might be thinking, but not me, Hannah, not me. Because I pay cash for all my cars. Let's talk about that. Why do you pay cash? Well, Hannah, I pay cash because I don't want to have any payments and I don't want to pay any interest. Okay. Number 1, payment. A payment is a payment, is it not? I don't care if it's a 1 payment of $20,000 or 20 payments of $1,000 each. A payment is a payment. whether it's 1 or 20. And the interest, where did that money come from? Well, that 20,000 was sitting somewhere, probably down at your local bank, your checking or savings account, earning you some form of interest. And when you go inside of your checking account and you just withdraw the money out to go pay cash for the car, okay, I bought in the car, but guess what I no longer have now? I no longer have that $20,000. I have to go out there, work for it, earn it somehow to get that money back inside of my pocket, earning me interest again. 25 cents of every dollar on your housing goes to interest. Did y'all know in a traditional 30-year mortgage, over 80% of your payments in the first 7 years goes to interest alone? I'm going to say that again. In a 30-year mortgage, in the first 7 years, over 80% of your payments goes to interest alone. How long do people stay in their house before they sell it or refinance it? 5 to 7 years. Think about it. How long have y'all been in your house before you sold it or refinanced it? So don't you think it's kind of hard to get out of that financial hamster wheel doing it this way? Now, later on, you guys are going to meet Anthony Rushings. He's going to teach us about velocity banking, okay, first lien HELOCs. And then I'm going to get deeper into how we marry the two concepts of velocity banking with the infinite banking concept, okay? But that's a powerful strategy. He taught me this is what Australia does. And I'm like, okay, we're just capitalists over here in America. That's why they want to teach us about this stuff, right? Hey, sorry to interrupt the episode here, but I want to take a quick break. If what you're hearing today has made you curious about infinite banking, how it works, I want you to go watch my free presentation. In it, I walk you through the same steps that my family took to pay off $984,000 of debt in 39 months, and how we've been able to recycle and recapture every single dollar since then. This isn't theory. This is real. I mean, this is what the wealthy have been using over 200 years to keep the money within the family. This is literally where banks, conventional banks, store a boatload of their dollars at. And it's the same process that we've helped thousands of families across the country put into action. So go to themoneymultiplier.com/presentation and see for yourself how you can start taking control of your money today. All right, let's get back into the episode. And then 5 cents of every dollar goes to interest on your living, and then we're trying to save 10%. So don't you see how it's kind of hard to get out of that rat race, that financial hamster wheel, when we're doing it that conventional way? R. Nelson Nash says, only money left over after paying taxes can be spent. For the average person in the U.S., 34.5% of that sum goes to pay interest alone. 34.5% of every dollar that you make just goes to interest alone. This money is gone forever. It is making persons in the banking business wealthy. It can be yours to enrich your life forever if you get into the banking business. See, here's what Nelson would always teach as well. You want to be in two businesses in your lifetime. The first business is the one that you're passionate about. Gets you up out of bed every day, supports the income, supports the livelihood, the family. But then the second business is your banking business. The business that finances everything throughout your life. And that's what we're here talking about, is the banking business. What did I say from the get-go? You guys are great at making your money. Don't change what you're doing. You suck at keeping it. So you got to get into the banking business to keep your money. I'm not going to get into how banks work today, okay? But here's the gist. Your money that you deposit at the bank, banks are making no less than 400% annually on the money that you leave there with them. 400% annually. And if you want to fact check me on this, go and Google something called, almost said Boley. Go look up BauerFinancial.com. B-A-U-E-R, BauerFinancial.com. You can look up the big banks that we all know the names of, your small hometown banks, but go and find their annual reports. And seriously, I challenge y'all to do this. I mean, my father's been teaching this stuff since 2012, and he asked every single audience, find me a bank that makes less than 400% interest annually, and if you do, you owe it to me to call me up and tell me, and I'll change my presentation slide and I'll give you the credit for it. But it just hasn't happened yet. Because it kind of makes sense, right? What risk does the bank take in doing all of this? Not a lot of risk, because whose money are they using? They're using your money. Now, I do agree at the bank, the interest rate offsets the risk, but if you're too risky of a borrower anyways, is that bank even going to give you the money? No. Mr. Michael Murphy, he was sitting up here, might be in the back of the room. There he is. I always make this joke sometimes. Doesn't matter where we're at in the world. You can be right here in Tampa, Florida. We can be in Austin, Texas, LA, California, right? When you are in a town, you come in to a main intersection within that town, right? And there's 4 corners on that intersection. What's one of the buildings on those 4 corners? No, it's not Starbucks. It's a bank. Good. And are banks on the bad landscaping, bad architecture, rundown property? No, they're like the nicest buildings in town. Tampa Club last night, that was a Bank of America that we were in on the 41st floor, 42nd floor, right? They're like the nicest buildings in town. And a matter of fact, when you walk into some banks, don't they kind of give you stuff sometimes? Like those dumb suckers that are sitting there on the counter. That's a little ironic. Michael, just this past week, we have a Facebook group, the Money Multiplier, and he posted a picture of it. He says, look, there's dumb suckers sitting right here on the counter. So it makes sense when you really start thinking about it. All right, I'm going to move on. I'm going to get into, because I'm kind of running out of time. I want to get into how cars work. And then we're going to get into Vivi Lucky Jeans right after that. I want to show you how this actually implements and how we are really utilizing these policies, okay? Now, let's go back to the fundamentals. The machine, the vehicle that we're using, whole life insurance policy. Whole life policy with a mutually owned company that pays dividends. Now, just real quick shout out, we have 3 insurance companies here this weekend. Security Mutual, Mr. Marty Smith is here. One America, Terry Cook is here. And then Lafayette Life. Lafayette Life, Jeff Rhodes, he actually lives here in Tampa. He's going to be coming by tomorrow. So get familiar with them. If you don't know who they are, we'll point them out to you. But the insurance companies are here, and they love this stuff. And I can get deeper on why they love this stuff. But anywho's, whole life policies. Now, reminder, there's premiums. Here's where the paradigm shift starts to happen. Premiums are your deposits. Why do I call them deposits? Well, because if I put money into an account that I own, I control, and I have immediate access to the cash, is that treated more as a payment or a deposit? I think it's a deposit. What word do y'all like better, payment or deposit? So there's premium deposits that go into this policy. There's also age and death benefit on the policy. I'm going to blow this up. Age and death benefit. You'll notice that age and death benefit are grayed out. Why are they grayed out? Because they do not matter. Oof. I just hit a chord with some of my analytical folks. And if I don't talk about age and death benefit, you're not going to hear anything that I say moving forward. So let's just talk about age and death benefit, and let's just walk through it quickly. Let's say that I have 3 individuals, age 20, 40, and 60. They're all in the same equal health. And they have a $20 bill in their pocket. 20, 40, and 60. They walk in to the grocery store. Who between them is going to be able to buy the most amount of groceries with their $20? All of them. Doesn't matter how good you look, how bad you smell, color of your skin, the language that you speak. I mean, same $20 is going to buy you the same amount of groceries. But now we'll take those same 3 people, 20, 40, and 60, same equal health. They walk across the street to the life insurance store. Who between them is going to be able to buy the most amount of death benefit with their $20? The younger one, right? That just makes sense. But I'm not here talking to you about the death benefit. Death benefit's going to be on that policy whether you like it or not. If you're older than someone like myself who's 26, if we put the same premium into our policies, our cash is going to be the same, but just because I'm younger, that just means I'm going to buy more of a death benefit compared to you. And that's not why we're here meeting. We're here talking about the cash and the cash value that's inside of that policy. I'm going to quote R. Nelson Nash again. You know what he used to always say? He says, if I can solve your need for finance and cash during your lifetime, you will have plenty of death benefit to leave to your family and heirs. And why do you want to leave death benefit to your ungrateful children? Just saying. Kidding. All right, because I'm saying, and just to go a little bit deeper, if you really get this stuff, it's not just about one policy. It's about creating a system of policies, right? Just like how Wells Fargo. Does Wells Fargo just have one branch or do they have multiple branch offices? They have multiple branch offices. Can you have multiple branch offices of your private bank? Yeah. So as time goes on, you expand and you start more and more. That's how the death benefit starts to compound more and more. You see what I'm saying? Anyways, too far down that rabbit hole. Cars. Starting on the left-hand side, this is just time. Year 1 to 8, year 9 to 13. In this example, he says, okay, I know that I'm worth $10,000 a year or $835 a month. That's what I'm going to start this policy with. Now, you may be thinking to yourself, Hannah, I would never put $10,000 a year into a stupid life insurance policy. I get it, okay? When I started my first policy at 18, I was a waitress at Cracker Barrel. Do you think I had $10,000 put into a life insurance policy? No. So I started where I was at. I was saving $100 a week. That's $400 a month. And Dad says, okay, if you're saving $400 a month, that's where you're going to start your first policy. So that's just where I started. You get to decide the premium that you want to put inside your policy. And I'm telling you right now, if you're working with somebody who's telling you how much to put in, go find another infinite banking practitioner. That's just my opinion. But you get to decide the premium that you want to deposit into your policy. And you can pay premiums monthly, quarterly, twice a year, annually, okay? But in this example, we're doing $10,000 a year. And he's paying those premiums over the next 7 years. Now, in year 4, he's in the market. He wants to go buy himself a car. Here's another little nugget. I would never have you wait to the 4th year to start using the cash value in your policy. Because how soon is the cash made available to us? Immediately, within 30 days. So in year 4, he wants to go buy himself a car. Where does he pull that $25,000 from? He pulls it from the cash value that's inside of his policy. He takes out the cash value, goes to the car dealership, hands over the money, they give him the car, and then everybody walks away. The transaction's done. And that's where most people stop. But since you borrowed from yourself in your private bank, don't you think it's a good idea that you should pay yourself back and charge yourself interest? Yeah, Hannah, that sounds like a great idea. But y'all ever do it? No. Treat your money just how you treat the bank's money. If you were to borrow $25,000 from a bank, you're expected to pay them back with interest, and you never skip a beat in doing it, right? So practice those same principles and habits with yourself. So he says, okay, since I borrowed from myself, I'm going to pay myself back $500 a month or $6,000 a year over the next 5 years. So he put back a total of $30,000. Let's just see what happened from year 1 to year 8. He put in $70,000 of his premium deposits plus $30,000 for the car purchase. So he put in a total of $100,000, but he did take out $25,000 to go buy the car. So $100,000 went in, he took out $25,000. $100,000 minus $25,000 is $75,000. So $75,000 is my true net injection, yet I'm sitting here with $73,226 as cash value in my policy. If you take that 73 and divide it into 75, you just got back 97 cents for every dollar that you spent on that car. Wait, Hannah, I'm not getting it. How is the money still growing even though I've taken it out and I'm using it? Here's what's happening. We are not withdrawing from the policy. You can withdraw your cash value, but we're taking out a policy loan. So what that means is I put my policy, the death benefit, up for collateral, and I'm taking a loan from the general funds of the insurance company. I'm using their $25,000 in the real world, and that's how and why my $25,000 still remains in the policy to grow and compound as if it wasn't even touched. I mean, is that cool or cool? I thought y'all would be a little bit more excited about that. And I don't want to get cheesy on y'all, but do you know a man by the name of Albert Einstein? Albert Einstein says that compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. Those who understand it earn it, and those who don't pay it. What do you think we've been doing all these years, paying out that compound interest? But let's move on, because that car is going to wear out on us. Year 9, I want to go buy myself another $25,000 car. Where do I pull it from? The cash value that's in my policy. Now, at this point, there's no more premiums going into the policy. But I'm telling you, if you truly understand this stuff, you will quickly understand that you want to pay premiums for as long as you can and as much as you can. Because here's my question. Have you ever made too many deposits into your bank account? I hope the answer is no, right? Again, it's just paradigm shift. As Nelson says, it's the ultimate in simplicity. It's just how you think, because how you think about your money is going to greatly impact how much money that you have. But anyways, just isolate the car purchase. No more premiums are going in. Year 9, I want to go buy myself another car. $25,000. I pull out the $25,000, go buy the car, and I'm going to do the same thing. Pay myself back $500 a month, $6,000 a year over the next 5 years. So from year 9 to 13, I put back $30,000 for car purchase number 2, but I took out $25,000. Put in $30,000, took out $25,000. $30,000 minus $25,000 is $5,000. $5,000 is my true net injection, yet I'm sitting here in the 13th year with $95,000 and some change as cash value. With the $5,000 net injection, my cash value just grew from $73,000 to $95,000. That's a $22,000 growth with a $5,000 net injection. How do you like buying cars my way? Is there anything stupid, ridiculous, or idiotic here that I'm doing? I just bought a stupid-ass life insurance policy, and I'm using it to finance my cars. Y'all were going to finance the cars anyways, were you not? Hannah, why'd you use the word ass? Well, some of you are texting, a few of you are sleeping. And ever since I said that word ass, y'all are right back up here to my screen. So, hey, welcome back to class. Because seriously, here's the big aha moment. Year 1 to year 13. Let's just see what happened. 13 years goes by pretty darn quick, does it not? 13 years ago, I was 13 years old. Ooh, that's a little scary. Sorry. I put in $70,000 as my premium deposits, plus $30,000 for car purchase 1, and another $30,000 for car purchase 2. So a total of $130,000 has gone into the policy. I took out $25,000 for car 1 and $25,000 for car 2. So $130,000 went in, I took out $50,000. $130,000 went in, took out $50,000. $130,000 minus $50,000 is $80,000. $80,000 is my true net injection. Yet I'm sitting here at year 13 with $95,000 of some cash. I have $95,000 in cash value, and guess what else I have? I have 2 cars sitting on my driveway. I can sell it, I can donate it, I can do whatever I want with it, right? How much did it cost me to buy, drive, and own these cars? Marty, how much did it cost me? If he's in here? He ain't in here. Nothing. Our Nelson Nash says that all the time. Nothing. But I can't tell you that it costs you nothing to buy, drive, and own that car. Because you had to start the policy. You had to start the system. Year 1, when he put in his 10 grand, he didn't have access to the entire 10,000. But are y'all in this for the short term or the long term? You tell me long term, but you tend to get hung up in short term thinking. There's a book out there by Rick Warren called A Purpose-Driven Life. And in that book, Rick Warren says that life is like a marathon. It doesn't matter how you start, it only matters how you finish. This is the game of life. And again, a lot of you, we're dealing with somebody right now, Hank from Spruce Creek, Mr. Tom. He's a neighbor. He found us online somewhere. He lives in my dad's community. And he's like, I'm too old to do this, right? I don't got as much time as you, Hannah. And I get it. A big quote I hear a lot that people tell me is, Hannah, I wish I knew about this stuff when I was your age, or I wish I knew about this stuff 20 years ago. So I'm telling you, Rebecca, time is on our side, And if I had $1 for every time I heard that, I wouldn't be up here right now. My butt would be in Mexico drinking a margarita on the beach right now, all right? But it's not just about the time. See, you finance every single thing that you buy. No matter if you're 9 years old buying a bicycle or 90 years old financing your retirement, you finance everything that you buy. You either pay cash, thus giving up the interest you could have earned, or you bank finance it, sending out the interest to somebody else. And you think that there's no other way to conduct this banking business. So I will say, on the back of your QR code, or on your name badge on the QR code, it's a whole Google Drive folder. I actually put resource links in there where I debunked mathematically, analytical people, of age is just a number, okay? Age is just a number. You're not too old to do this, and no, premiums are not going to be so expensive. You get to decide your premium, okay? But anyways, I just showed this for a car, right? What if that wasn't a $25,000 car? What if it was a $2,500 MacBook computer, and I'm just doing $1,000 premiums? Does the concept still work the same? Yeah, it's just smaller numbers. What if that's $100,000 premiums and a $250,000 house? And then I just pay myself back $5,000 a month, $60,000 a year. Does the concept still work the same? It's just bigger numbers. I'm in the lending space. That's what I like to do in real estate and in my investments. Let's say Larry calls me up and he says, Hannah, I need $25,000. I'm going to go do this rehab on this house. Okay, I'll loan you the $25,000. I have rules though. No less than the first position, because if you're not first, you're last. And my rates right now are anywhere from 12 to 15%. And as long as you're okay with that, because here's another one, the one who has the gold makes the rules. I have the gold, so I get to make the rules. And if you're okay with that, you can borrow my money. So where do you think I pulled the $25,000 from? Cash value of my policy. Who do you think is paying me back now that $6,000 a year? Larry's paying me back. Ooh, that just got interesting, didn't it? Last thing I'll say on this slide. Dump-ins. I get this question a lot. Some people will say, Hannah, I have this cash bucket. Let's say I sold a house. Maybe I cashed out my retirement account because I know that it's so stupid I shouldn't be putting money there. Oops, did I say that? Anyways, I got this cash bucket here. Let's make believe it's $100,000. Hannah, I want to take this $100,000 and I want to put it inside the policy. But I know I'm not going to do $100,000 every single year. That's just not comfortable, not feasible for me. But I could do $2,000 a month or $24,000 a year. Again, just making up numbers. So you can actually design a policy year one to do a dump in, and then year two, drop it down to a lower ongoing, more comfortable premium amount. And now why, especially my investors like those dump-ins, is because I tell you conservatively that of dump-in money, you'll have access to 90% of it, 90, okay? But there's so many ways that you can design these policies. So that's why you just got to get connected with a money mentor to talk deeper about your exact scenario. But there's a reason Nelson kind of calls this the infinite banking concept, right? All right, there's rules here. Rule number 1, pay yourself first. If you get nothing else from my talk here today, pay yourself first. I know you guys have heard that before, but do you actually do it? Probably not. So what I mean by that is when you get money that comes in, take a sliver of it, set it to the side, pay yourself first, and then go pay everybody else next. Okay? Treat yourself as your number 1 asset. And in my opinion, pay yourself first should be the premiums that go inside your policy. Rule number 2, pay yourself back, charge yourself with interest. Treat your money just how you treat the bank's money. I'm telling you, money's going to flow and grow to where it's respected to. So treat your money just how you treat the bank's money. And then rule number 3, recycle and recapture the money. So again, if it works for a car, what else? A computer. Taxes. Could I get my money back on all my taxes? Charitable giving. I have a policy specifically for my foundation that I donate every single year out of. And I'm able to donate more and more and more because I run it through the policy first. Here's your 3 rules. Pay yourself first, pay yourself with interest, recycle and recapture. So just real quick, here are other resources that you can get deeper into. Robert Kiyosaki, a lot of y'all know him from the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad, but he also wrote this book called Second Chance. In this book of Second Chance, Robert Kiyosaki talks about this concept, but y'all read right through it, didn't think a second thing of it because it's never been explained to you this way. And same thing with Tony Robbins, Money Master the Game, chapter 5.4 in that book, Tony Robbins talks about this. And then we know and love Mr. Larry Steinhaus. He wrote this book called Money Hacks, which is honestly a great book. But chapter 13, I wrote it, anyways. Chapter 13, he talks about the infinite banking concept. More importantly, why I put this book on the screen, it's the subtitle, because everything you think you know about money is wrong. And I just love that. So those are some other resources. Now, hey, like I said, the infinite banking concept, people want to get hung up in product. Oh, whole life insurance. Y'all, it's not about the product. If I could do the same thing with these water jugs here to keep, build, and create my wealth, I'd be hooting and hollering to you about how cool these jugs of water are. But it's not. It's just a whole life insurance policy. So it's not about the product. It's about the process. How are you using that policy within your life? And then just quickly, I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but this is kind of an exercise that I'll do with some of my clients if they ever forget kind of why they started this whole journey in the first place. Because again, to go back to the backwards bicycle video, when you start to go back to the old behaviors and old patterns of thinking, and when your premium notice comes due in the mail, you're thinking to yourself, what am I doing paying $20,000 a year into his life insurance policy, right? You go back to the old way of thinking. So just remind yourself that, hey, why did I start this journey in the first place? What does this premium deposit actually mean for me? And so I'll sometimes have them create this little T-chart for themselves and post it up on the refrigerator or maybe like their bathroom mirror just to look at it day in and day out. But here's my opinion. The only difference between a life insurance company and a commercial bank is just a name on the front door. They're both places of where you can store your money at, right? So y'all, this is the and asset, okay? I'm not telling you, hey, go invest in real estate or put your money in the policy. Go invest in stock options or go put your money in the policy. No. I'm going to run the money through the policy and then go pay off debt, invest, finance vacations, whatever it is, right? Because you can literally use the cash value for anything. You know how the conversation goes? You call up to the insurance company. Hey, I want to take out a cash value loan. They say, okay, how much do you want, or do you want the max that's available? I want the max that's available. They say, okay, do you want a paper check or do you want it directly deposited into your bank account? I would like it directly deposited, please. They say, okay, it'll be there in about 5 to 7 business days. Boop, 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 phone call done. How about those exams that you basically have to do at a commercial bank just to qualify for a loan? You see what I'm saying? And it's just because you are the owner of that policy contract. So anyways, now I'm going down a rabbit hole there. You can actually purchase it and watch a lot of our recordings from Denver. Okay, we spent 2 days just everything, the infinite banking concept. That would be good for a lot of you folks who are implementing this in your own life. Or again, I do my podcast show every week. I even have a live stream that I do now every Thursday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern time. Money Mornings with Hannah. I'm talking about it on there too. Okay, last thing I'm going to get into. This is what's called Vivi Lucky Jeans. We call it Vivi Lucky Jeans because, long story short, we had another example called Larry Lucky Jeans. And then now we just updated it because this is a real-life policy of Chris Nagel's daughter, Viviana, but we call her Vivi. And on this policy, Chris started this when she was about 6 months old, okay? He opened this policy on Vivi, and he's doing $5,000 a year into this policy. Reminder, you get to decide the premium you start. He says, okay, I'm just going to do $5,000 a year. Now, in this, you can see that cash value year one, 22 and some change. And actually, this is perfect. Thank you, Phil. Let's talk about this. When I'm looking at policy illustrations, there's 2 break-even points that I look at. The first break-even point is the cash on cash in that year. Meaning, when I put in my $5,000, when does my cash value grow by that same $5,000 deposit? And you can see it happens right there from year 3 to year 4. In year 4, when he puts in his $5,000, his cash value grew by that same $5,000. So that's the first break-even point that I look at. The second break-even point that I look at is the cumulative cash on cash. Okay, over the course of these 10 years, Phil, go back this way, or that way. Yeah, thank you. Over the course of these 10 years, I put in $50,000 of cash into this policy. When does my cumulative cash value exceed that 50 grand? And you can see it's right there at year 10. Yeah, that should be year 10. Yeah, thank you. So cumulative cash on cash, you'll notice in your policies, just depending on the policy design, it'll be anywhere from year 5 to year 10. But again, it's just based on policy design. And then you can see every year after that, okay, I have more and more cash value out of this policy. All right, Phil, back it up for me. Perfect. We're going to say that in year 18, when Vivi's 18, she wants to go to college. And it's going to cost her $20,000 to go to college. Where do we pull the $20,000 from? The cash value in the policy. Now, something to note. I have my little notes here. In this example, number 1, we are not showing loans being paid back. Okay, so this is like worst case scenario. If I'm a dishonest banker, I never pay back any of my policy loans. Okay? So, for 4 years, when Vivi's 18 to 21, she wants to go and finance for college. It's going to cost her $20,000 a year, and they're going to pull it from the policy. Just real quick, because Steve and Lisa, you guys were asking me about this. Children cannot own a policy until they're 18. But then once you're 18, you can always transfer the ownerships of policies to them. Okay, so that's why I started when I was 18, because that's the time I could actually own a policy. But even before that, Dad would open policies on my body. He still owns those policies to this day, and I doubt he'll ever give me those policies till he's like on his deathbed, you know? But you can always transfer the ownership of policies over to your kids. Okay, so Vivi financed for her college all out of her policies. Moving on, when she's 29, she meets a hot man, and she gets married. And that wedding is going to cost her $40,000. Where did she pull the $40,000 from? Cash value in her policy. Again, she's not paying it back. She's just taking the cash value out. Age 32, Vivi and her new husband want to go and move into a house. So they need $60,000 for the down payment. They take the $60,000 from the cash value in the policy. And if Chris is smart, he will finance the rest of it through his own private banks, aka his policies. He'll be the mortgage holder. And then Vivi will pay Daddy Chris back those monthly mortgage payments. You see how the money's being kept in the family now? And if you're like my dad, you're ultra smart, and you actually file that with Volusia County, because if their daughter doesn't pay them back, Dad's going to come and foreclose on them. He says, honey, I love you, but it's just business, right? And here's my other big PSA. Y'all, sometimes, and I can say this because I'm a part of the Gen Z generation. No offense, but I think some of you parents have enabled my generation for entitlement a little bit. Can I say that? A lot of it. Even I'm gonna put, you know how we sometimes say your broke ass brother-in-law? I'm gonna put Uncle Brad on the spot real quick. Even Uncle Brad and Aunt Sandy, they bought Connor a new truck. Connor's not making payments on that truck, yet they're drowning in debt. And it's like, why are you guys doing that to yourself? You guys are just enabling yourself. Sorry, Aunt Sandy and Uncle Brad, if you hear me, but hey, I'll say it to your face too. I've already said it to your face. Anyways, but you do, you know, it is business, right? And this is one thing that we do in our family, because sometimes the family lines and the business lines can cross. And so when we're sitting down at the kitchen table, you know, having dinner that night, maybe Dad wants to start talking about business. And I'll say, Dad, my daughter hat is on right now, not my employee hat, right? And so it's just very important when we start to make those whatever, between, you know, family time and business time. But it's just business, and you need to treat it like a business. Even though it's family, treat it like a business. Okay, that's my big PSA. Now, Vivi has kids. And Vivi needs to send her kids to college. Tuition is going to cost $30,000 a year. She pays for that tuition bill, $30,000 a year, over the next 4 years. We're going to go next. Now, Vivi is ready for retirement. At age 64, Vivi is going to take out $90,000 a year to finance her retirement. And we're just going to say, God forbid, that Vivi passes at age 90, okay? What I want y'all to pay attention to is the accumulative cash flow column and the accumulative premium columns, all the way down. Or actually, let's go back. Let's say that at age 64, cumulative premiums. You see how she's put $320,000 into that policy over the course of its lifetime? $320,000. Look at her cash value, 1.9. She's taken out about about $390 from the policy up to that point. So her net cash value, the 1.9 minus $390, she's still got 1.5 of cash value in her policy, right? But here's my question. Which is still left in her policy? Is it the 1.9 or is it the 1.5 that's still left in her policy? 1.9. Because remember, we're taking loans from the policy, not withdrawing the money out. So even though she's taken out all of this money to finance for the down payment, her college, her kids' college, she's using the insurance company's money. She's not using her actual money. So all of her 1.9 is still in the policy, growing and compounding as if it wasn't touched. Uninterrupted compounding interest. Now, in this black box there, at age 90, total premiums paid, $398,000. She's taken out 2.7 from her policy up to this point. Her cumulative cash is 5.5, but her net cash is 2.9. So again, how much is still left in the policy growing and compounding? Is it the 5.5 or the 2.9? 5.5. So that's a net return of 738%. There we go. The net return there, that's her cumulative net return, right? Her net, minus cost of insurance, minus commissions, minus loan interest, right? So that's her net. This is just what's happening inside of her policy. We're not even talking about what she's doing out there in the investment world or what she wants to do elsewhere, right? And do you see kind of why Nelson says, hey, can make people in the banking business very wealthy? This is what he's talking about. It's uninterrupted compounding interest. All right. I will, Yulia, remind me, I will put Vivi Lucky Jeans in the QR code folder too. I forgot about that. I'll do that, okay? So you guys can have a copy of that just to refer back to. But hey, you know, why is this maybe the first time I'm ever hearing about this? I don't know if y'all know this, but whole life insurance has been around even longer than our tax code's been here. Our tax code's only been here since 1913. So there's so many things that you can do inside of these policies that you can't do with any other vehicle on this planet. This was an article that was posted on ESPN. Cash value life insurance makes Harbaugh College football's top paid coach. The University of Michigan is doing this stuff. Disneyland. Walt Disney walked into a bank and he said, "Hey, Mr. Banker, I got this great idea called Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck. Would y'all give me a loan?" They kind of laughed at him. They said, "No, man, we ain't going to give you a loan." So what he had to do is he had collaterally borrow from his cash value life insurance policies to start Disneyland. Who knows if Disneyland would even be here if Walt didn't have those policies. Ray Kroc with McDonald's. Ray Kroc had to help with his cash flow. And so to provide for the means of the financing to cover his salaries of his key employees, he had to borrow money from his cash value life insurance policies. He also used some of the money to finance for the advertising campaign that we know of as Ronald McDonald. Pampered Chef, this one's powerful. Using $3,000 she borrowed from her life insurance policy, Doris Christopher started the Pampered Chef. It was later acquired by Warren Buffett for $1.5 billion. Billion with a B. And there's so many other stories like this. Stetson University, Foster Farm, J.C. Penney. I mean, there's so many stories like this, but it's not what the masses are talking about, right? They always want to talk to you about, hey, how can I go and get you a higher rate of return, right? See, that's where I'm a little different. I'm not going to talk about the money that you're already saving. I'm going to talk about the money that you're already spending. And how can I recapture the money that I'm already spending? Because if I take the money that I'm already saving, it's going to require me to have more risk, right? And what more risk y'all want to take in today's market? That's why I'm not a markets girl. I have no money in the market. I have no money in qualified accounts. My game plan, my policies, I have 8 policies right now. Policies and real estate. That's what's going to supplement my income during retirement years, right? All right. Everything that I've told you up to this point has been fact, but now here's just my opinion. Now that you know this, everybody should be doing it. Because if you don't, you're stealing from yourself, you're stealing from your children, your spouse, and future generations to come because you're letting the money leave the family. Excuse me. Here's what Warren Buffett says. He says if poor people would just start doing what rich people do, they wouldn't be poor anymore. And how much sense does that make? I'm not going to reinvent the wheel. I'm going to copy and imitate what the elite and the wealthy are doing. If you study up on families, like the Rockefellers, there's a book called What Would the Rockefellers Do? Actually, Chris Noggle and I have a foreword in that book with our good friend Garrett Gunderson. A lot of y'all know Garrett Gunderson, maybe. It's in your QR code as well. You're welcome. The ebook. But the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, the Morgans, the Stanleys, the Barclays, I mean, if you really look at how they keep wealth within their family, and if I can say this, don't piss it away like the Vanderbilts. You can go look up and study that family. How do they keep money in the family, and how do they pass it on from generation to generation? Through the power of whole life insurance. And trust. We're going to hear from Don Pendleton tomorrow talking about taxes, estate planning. He'll get into some stuff. But I'm not going to reinvent the wheel. I'm just going to copy and imitate what they're doing. Now, there's one of two things that's going to happen to us. We're either going to live or we're going to die. I like to say the word graduate, but what word y'all like better? So, just real quick, we didn't even talk about the death benefit, right? I mean, hey, there's always going to be a death benefit on that policy. Policies are exempt from judgments and liens in most states. Florida being one of them, meaning if you ever get sued, have a judgment lawsuit against you, no one can come after the money in your policies, but they can come after the money inside of your bank accounts. So it's a protected asset. The internal values grow tax-free. Oh yeah, I didn't even talk about that. All the growth, just when I showed you in Vivi Lucky Jeans, that's all tax-free growth. And loans never have to get paid back, right? I'm going to coach you to be an honest banker. You should pay yourself back, charge yourself interest, but loans are not required to get paid back because all a policy loan is just a prepayment of your death benefit. You're guaranteed to graduate, so at that time, whatever the death benefit is, minus any outstanding loans, that remaining portion, that's what the insurance company will pay out to your beneficiaries, lump sum tax-free. Now, this isn't the only reason we're doing this, but maybe one of the reasons why we're doing this.
I wanna be a billionaire so freaking bad. Buy all of the things I never had.
All right, so hey, Yulia's coming around. Yulia, raise your hand. If this is something you just want to talk about, you have questions on, there's a paper that's going to be passed around. You can put your name, phone number, and email on it, and we can have a one-on-one conversation about this. But y'all, I have rules to this. If you complete this and turn it in, actually answer when I call you. Don't make me go through your gatekeepers to try and find you, okay? I got plenty of friends. I'm not looking for new friends, okay? And rule number 2, if you turn it in, make sure it's actually legible, all right? Make sure I can read it, read your name, your phone number, and your email. But hey, if you need to go do more research, go do more research, okay? I gave y'all a lot of resources, the podcast show, the Money Multiplier podcast. I got my Thursday morning live stream. It's on my YouTube channel or, Instagram. It streams to Facebook and even LinkedIn. I have my ebook, The Single Millionaire Chick. Yes, Larry. It's available on Amazon, $2.99. Okay, it's on Amazon. And then also the companion. This is actually a children's book that Chris Noggle and I wrote together. I do have copies here. But you can also go to Amazon and get the book that way as well. But those are good resources. Hey, because let me ask you, who do you think the companion is? The companion is her money. And the companion is her policy. Isn't that kind of fun? Now, there's another resource I want to give y'all. This is a screenshot from one of my recent episodes on the podcast show. A lot of times people ask me, Hannah, how do you guys stay so organized with all of your policies? As quoting Nelson Ash again, have you ever heard of a spreadsheet? So that's what we do. We just use our spreadsheets. So I call it my net worth statement. So you guys have a blank copy of the net worth statement in your QR code as well, okay, as a resource. I look at this monthly. I have it actually blocked out in my calendar. Be disciplined with this stuff, y'all. This is about your financial life. No one's going to care more about your financial life than what you do. So the first Wednesday of every month, I have it blocked out in my calendar to update my net worth sheet. And that's when I get in there, update my assets, my passive income, my policies, my bank account, my commission income, right? Because that's how I make my active money, right? Because, let's just be clear. If this is something that y'all want to do, hopefully you want to do with me. You don't have to. But hey, I just eat, live, and breathe this stuff. So, I hold my life license. And when people want to come to me and start doing this, the insurance company pays me directly. So I make commissions for my active business, right? Because no matter who you go to, somebody's going to make a commission on your policy, just saying. And then net worth, and then also my monthly budget. I always stay up to date on my monthly budget. So that's in there. Also, the link to the video where I walked through my net worth statement is in your QR code file. And then here's how you can get in contact with me. You got my cell phone number, my email address, my calendar. And then I know I didn't go through my normal presentation, but I will say if you have debt, I would go back and re-watch the presentation where we do get into the money multiplier map and the debt example. That's some powerful stuff. But other than that, I think that's all my thoughts. So thank you.
If you really enjoyed this episode, you'll really like this one.